Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Outdoor Sports Club channel. My family and I went on a vacation to Colorado. Got back last week, and we were gone for a week. And I wanted to talk about. I'm not going to talk about the vacation necessarily. I would like to do some really quick reviews of some of the places we went, and maybe some. There were some things that we learned about those places that could be handy if you wanted to visit them. And I may do a video about that later, but I wanted to do a video about basically what was my everyday carry kind of system while I was there, while we were traveling. And some of this is my everyday carry system now, but I need to improve it a little bit. I need to work on it a little bit. But I'm going to talk about what I had on my person most of the time, and then also go through this bag, which this is actually this is a bag that goes with me every day anyway. It goes with me to work. Most of the time it stays in my car. Sometimes I take it into work with me, but the idea is that it's at least in my car. Whichever car I take to work, it goes with me. Before I get too into it, I kind of wish this bag was a little bit bigger. I used it as a carry-on bag at my last job. It would barely fit my work laptop in it, and then I was able to put some books. I always carried everything on. Even when I went on a week and a half training trip one time, and every bag that I had went on the aircraft with me. I had a duffel that was that had most of my clothes packed in it. That went overhead. This had toothbrush, toothpaste, the little thing of deodorant, a little thing of toothpaste, and a book, my phone, chargers, earbuds, and my work laptop in it. That's probably about it. But anyway, I don't really travel for work anymore, at least not like I did then. So this has become my go bag, or my everyday bag, and it just goes with me everywhere. I think everybody should have one. I don't believe... bug out bags aren't a thing with me. If you've watched some of my videos in the past, you'll know the bug out bags aren't really a thing. I think everybody should have a go bag or two, depending on where you're going. Maybe if you travel a lot for work, you should have a separate carry-on bag, and then you should have a bag that goes with you everywhere that you go, where you're just out and about. And I'm not really too worried about that stuff, but I do have some things in here that have been handy before in everyday use. And I also, a lot of times, I'll put my lunches in here. I'll put my drinks in the little pouch on the side. That way I can carry everything with me into work very easily. So, but I do, for a trip, like a trip where I'm going to be hiking a lot, this is pretty good for short day hikes. It's not great for carrying, definitely not for like backpacking. It's not a backpacking bag. But for a hike where you're going to be out, you're going to eat breakfast, you're going to go to a trailhead, you're going to get an early start, and you're going to be gone for 12 hours. This may not be the best bag for that. So luckily we didn't do a ton of that, so it's not that big of a deal. But first, okay, one of the things I carried was our Nikon DSLR. So this is not an everyday carry item. This is a vacation item. So I did carry this everywhere we went. We only have the one lens. It's a Tamron, what was that, an 18 to 270 lens? I don't know if that... but anyway, this is the only lens we carry for this camera, and it's got a lot of versatility. It's not great at close-up, it's not great at long range, but it's I do not want to be hiking through the mountains with 4 different lenses, or even 2 different lenses. When you take these lenses off, and I'm not going to do it in here because there's a lot of dust in here, you run the risk of damaging the camera body and the lens. So we don't switch the lens. That's all we have. So it's a little bit bigger of a lens. It's a little bit heavier, but it works really well for a wide variety of things. And then we've got extra SD cards that we carried. We have we've got 2 batteries for this camera and the charger. So those usually stayed in the car, and I would carry the extra batteries and SD cards. They don't take up a lot of space. So anyway, not an everyday item, but a vacation item. I just wanted to throw that in. I was carrying that as well. So first of all, with the everyday items, and these are things I carry with me every day anyway, so going on vacation was no different. I carried these with me. Obviously the wallet, lighter. I don't smoke regularly. I smoke my pipe here and there, but mostly on camping trips, but I carry a lighter with me. That's come in handy. Usually other people use it more than I do. because somebody needs a lighter, and I go, oh yeah, I have a lighter, and they go, you've got a lighter, and I hand them a lighter. So keys. I usually carry a different little knife, but I like to have a little knife on me. The one that I usually carry in my pocket is shorter than, it's smaller than this. It's about between my fingers, like that big. And it's more of a Swiss Army style knife. I don't really use the tweezers or the toothpick, but it's got on one side it's got some little scissors that I found to be pretty handy, and then it's got 2 blades and a nail file. So I usually carry the other one. I left it at work, and I have this one at home in case the other one is at work. Then I carry this one instead. My regular knife, you guys are familiar. I don't think I've posted the video yet, but there's a video where I painted it, and that obviously didn't work very well. I didn't think it would, but it didn't work very well. But the CRKT M1603 KS, very handy knife. I love this knife. Probably the smaller one, there's a smaller version of this knife, would probably be a little bit handier. I don't mind this. It doesn't get in my way. It's not too long for my pocket, so it works pretty well. My phone I left inside the house. I always carry my phone, and then of course the Springfield XDS in the Fox holster. That goes everywhere with me. And that's all the things that are on my person. Yeah, that should cover it, sans the phone. So we're going to get closer up, and I'm going to go through this backpack. So like always, my camera setup isn't the greatest out here. So first things first, this isn't stuff that like is a must-have, but I've got this old Grimlock carabiner that I've had forever, and I use these for random things. I've got a little thing on here that, you know, most people would probably consider a waste of space and weight, but it's a Bible verse. I keep that on there. It's shiny, so that may be bad, but I just keep it on there just because. Got a little cheap thermometer, not super accurate, but it's not real heavy, so I leave it on there. These are easy to take off, so if I needed to, I could take these off and pop them somewhere else, put them in a bag, or leave them at home even if I wanted to. I've also got this S-beaner, I guess they call them, and I don't know why I've got beaners on beaners, but I keep this one around. I bought it back when we hiked in Glacier, and I didn't know if I might need to rig something up. They had a place for putting your stuff in bags and putting it up in trees for bears, and I didn't know if they would have that or not, so I had some cordage in these carabiners just in case. This is a little light. I hardly ever use this, but I didn't have it on here. I had it at work, and I decided to take it just as a I don't even bank at this bank. I don't remember where I got this, but just as a little light in case I needed something just real quick and easy. So it's hanging from a shoulder strap. And then there's this guy. I hate this spoon or spork, and I need to take it off of here. It's next to useless. I have other ways of opening bottles, and there's not enough dish in this. I know they're trying to make it slim and light and all that good stuff, and easy to use. These aren't pokey enough to do any good, and this isn't deep enough of a dish to really do any good. So last time I used it, I was eating oatmeal. I was scraping it out of the bowl, kind of like, the camera's all weird so I can't do it, but I was scraping it out of the bowl. I couldn't really scoop the oatmeal up. So anyway, that's on the outside of the pack. On the front, on the back, usually at work, I have this marker that I use. It's probably getting close to drying out. I keep some pins here. I usually have another pin, but I took it off because it was a really nice pin and I didn't want to lose it in Colorado. Whoops. This is some hand sanitizer that I got a while back, and it's pretty handy. You know, it's still got some in it. I had a thing of, I can't remember what the other thing was that was hanging here, but it wound up drying out, so I took it off. And then some Stingy's Itch Relief. I had it packed away somewhere, and I thought, you know what, I don't think we'll need it, but it's got this clip on it. It seemed to do okay. If I was taken off across country, like pretty rugged and fast, I don't know that I would hang these things from the molly webbing, but they did okay just hiking around the mountains. We did a decent amount of hikes. So and again, this This pack needs some work. It's not the perfect layout and it's not the perfect size, and I have some stuff in here that I probably didn't really need for what we were doing, but I took it anyway because I wanted to have it just in case. So there's some working hands. I don't usually use this in the winter. My feet crack. My hands usually don't, even when I come outside and I work, but sometimes my hands do, but my feet crack. I use this on those, so just in case. Zip ties, I love zip ties, and I hardly ever use them, but they're pretty handy. So I keep a pack of these in all the packs just in case we need them. I've got some curved hemostats and some straight hemostats. These are super, super handy. These are really good stainless steel ones that well, my dad gave them to me, and I use these around the house, believe it or not, a decent amount, not for medical purposes, but just a decent amount. Then I rubber banded these. These are scissors. I'm not going to take the band off, but I just put a rubber band around the end to keep them closed because they don't lock. These are really good, really sharp little scissors, super handy. And then I also rubber banded these good tweezers. Now these are pokey tweezers. If you can see that, the end is kind of pokey, so I didn't want them catching on things, so I rubber banded them up. And then we have another lighter. I really like lighters. They're amazing. Okay, so then we've got cordage, and this particular one, so I guess I should have said before, we all had packs. There's 4 of us in the family. My wife had a small pack. I didn't really dictate what she had in her pack, except that she carried water, some food for her. We all carried our own food and water typically. So I told her, basically you got to have water for you, food for you, and a poncho. And that was pretty much all I dictated. She put some other stuff in there on her own. But this is, and I'm not going to unwind it, but it's basically, some other people have done this kind of thing, but I got the idea from Corporal's Corner a while back, and I thought it was a pretty good idea. This isn't the best string to be using for your prussiks, but there's a loop on one end. You throw this end around the tree, you pull the cord through it, you put a stick in it, that holds it to the tree. The other end you string up to your other tree, and you put a trucker's hitch in it, which I love trucker's hitches anyway. And then these prussiks, whatever, they get tangled up sometimes, but you slide them along, run them through a grommet in your tarp, which I have a super lightweight tarp that I sent with my daughter, so I don't have it in the pack right now, but it was in the pack. It's a super lightweight tarp in a stuffed sack about that big. You run that through the grommet, put a stick through it, and then you stake out the other edge of your tarp. So it's a really quick, easy way to put up a quick shelter if you get stuck. So lightweight. The cordage could be used for other things as well, easily. An old glow stick, just in case. This stuff came in handy. This is some 100% DEET. One of the hiking trails we went on, it was the most mosquitoes I've ever seen in my life. They were swarming the car before we ever got parked. And then as soon as you jump out of the car, they're just all over you. So this came in handy. I didn't get eaten up as much, but even with bug spray on, my wife got eat up pretty badly. One thing that I will note, I always wear long pants. Very rarely will you see me in shorts outside, unless I'm swimming or running. I'm wearing long pants, and even sometimes when I run, I wear long pants. So that helped a lot. And if we would have had long sleeve, like dry fit shirts, that would have helped a lot as well. Hats and things like that, scarves, that would help. But anyway, this stuff is handy. It's lightweight. I'm almost out in this one, so I probably need to buy another little thing of it. But it's good to have in a pack because it doesn't take up much space. My daughter and son both had sunscreen. And my daughter had a bigger bottle of 40% DEET that we were using most of the time, but when we hit that spot, I sprayed everybody down with this because we were getting eaten up. I've got this old Sunblocka sunscreen. We didn't use this. It's a cream-based sunscreen. Probably would have been better. I got burnt on my head on top of a mountain in Colorado because it was really windy, so I took my hat off to go do a hike, and I really needed a head covering, and I forgot about it. One thing I don't have in this pack, my daughter and my son both had a straw, I can't remember what it's called, life filter or something like that. It's a straw filter. The little, it's just like you put like a bottle on one side filled with dirty water, and you can drink straight from it, or you can pour it into something else. They had one of those each. and I took these just in case. These were like a backup. Lens cleaner that I hardly ever use, but mostly I took it for the camera just in case. Didn't really need it. This goes everywhere with me. I've used this before. It's a vinyl, fabric, and plastic adhesive. It's flexible, and I cut my pants one time, some ripstop pants, and I just put this glue on it and let it dry, and it's been good ever since. That's everything in that. Oh, what have we here? Oh, that's left over from old work. That's a a pipe marking gauge, where a depth gauge. That's from old work. That's not really supposed to be in there anymore. Some various cloths for cleaning things. And here we have a plastic bag filled with just some medical stuff. We've got some latex gloves. We've got some latex gloves. We've got what was that? I can't remember what that is. It's this is some other surgical gloves, non-latex surgical gloves. Drape, and then we've got some cotton balls, and there's some suture needles and suture in here, which, you know, I don't really, I've done that before, but it's something I did a long time ago and I'm not trained at it, but in a pinch I can get it done. Surgical blades. This is sort of my bigger trauma kit. Here's some Providone, iodine stuff. There's just some random stuff in here in case we need wound closure strips, just in case we needed something a little heavier duty. None of the other packs had this in them. They all had like the usual band-aids and painkillers and stuff like that in those. This was my just in case bag. What else? Okay, so then some birthday candles, and these. No, these aren't. We had some that relit all the time. I think those are kind of handy because you could light them and then they just stay lit a little bit longer. But these are just in case, it was a little bit more problematic to get a fire lit. Now in the wind, I don't think those would do very good. But, take them just in case. Triple antibiotic. Some chapstick. Everybody had their own chapstick. I also had this Carmex. It wasn't supposed to be in there, but I really like Carmex. It's just that when it gets hot, it kind of melts. And then we've got a couple pins that I've gotten from hotels while traveling. And that's all that's in this pocket. So again, it's a little bit disorganized, but I kind of had a place for everything, and it kind of worked. So here, this is where I put, this is in the small top pouch, some extra snacks, this stuff, my kids hate it. I don't know that I totally buy into it, but it is. When I feel like I'm about to get sick, I drink some of these. It seems to help. And then like once a week or once every 2 weeks, I'll mix some up and drink it, and I think it helps. More chapstick. Another lighter. I carry lots of lighters. I don't like this. This is one of those knife sharpening deals. I don't like it. But in a pinch, I will use it. For me, it doesn't get things very sharp. I'd rather sharpen on a whetstone. And then here, I have another multi-tool somewhere else that I like better, but just in case I needed some pliers. The rest of the tools I don't use too much, but there's screwdrivers and saws and bottle openers and can openers. I've used the can openers on these a decent amount. So that's in there. I don't use these a lot, but that's in there just in case. Flashlight. Everybody had their own. This one was having problems. There we go. It was having problems. It's not the best flashlight in the world. Everybody had their own flashlight, and everybody else had headlamps. I didn't take a headlamp. But the sunglasses pouch on the very top, where an extra mag went. So I probably should be carrying that on my person, but I don't. Okay, main pouch. Now this is one that's going to be a little different because I've taken some of the stuff out. The tarp in the stuff sack was in here, and I took it out. So back here in this pouch, which I think is supposed to be a water hydration pouch, I had steaks. Now I sent some of these steaks with my daughter because she has another ridge line and tarp, so I sent those with her. Poncho just in case. This takes up a lot of space. I need to probably pare this down, but it's some jute twine. Very handy for tying things off when you don't need to use your paracord, and also can be used for tinder for a fire. Everybody had a trash bag. I wanted to go get some heavier duty trash bags. These are large trash bags, and they've got some, they're a little bit more durable than your regular trash bag, but they're not the thick ones. And I wanted to go get the thick ones, but I ran out of time. Shemagh, super handy. I love Shemaghs. Didn't have to use it, but I almost did when it was cold up on the mountain and the sun was beaming down on us. I have an extra dry fit shirt. This was in case it got too cold while we were hiking up in the mountains and I needed to take off my shirt and put this on and then put my shirt back on. Didn't have to use that either. Didn't get quite that cold. This, I probably should have put this on whenever I was hiking around. I just didn't think about it when I took my hat off. These socks are like the greatest socks I've ever bought. They're really good for hiking, but I've only worn them a few times. I had them in here, probably should have worn them on the busy day, but I didn't. But just in case, you know, there was a good clean pair of socks in there that is really good at not blistering your feet when you're hiking a lot. And some gloves just in case. These are fairly lightweight gloves, but just in case. And again, I had a tarp in there, and I also had a jacket that I put in here. I carried it, I wore it, and then when it warmed up, I put it in here, and then I would put some extra food and water inside here too. One water thing would go over here, and I'd put another water thing in there, or more if I needed it, depending on how far we were walking that day. We would put more water in there. So I'm going to kind of stuff this stuff back in here the best I can. And then down in here, extra shoelace, just in case. I always carry an extra shoelace with me. Can be handy for tying things off, but also, you know, if you break a shoelace. And then I've got, everybody had a small medical kind of box in their packs. This has some other bandages, lip ointment, and some little scissors. And some fingernail clippers down in there, which is the main reason I wanted these. I was going to put this in somebody else's pack, and then everybody wound up with medical stuff in their pack anyway, and I just didn't want to leave this behind, so I put it in my pack, even though almost all of it is redundant except for the fingernail clippers. There's some tweezers in there, different medicines and stuff like that. We were covered. I didn't really need that, but anyway. This is my other, that other ridgeline setup that I showed was a 25 foot. This is another 25 foot. The only difference is it doesn't have any knots in it and no prussics. So it's just a generic, it's just another strand in case I need it. Cotton balls, I needed to come up with a plastic bag to put those in, but I didn't. I should have, but I just didn't get around to it. Put that back in there. And then this is the last pouch. This is my campy knife, and I didn't ever get this out, but it was, you know, I was gonna. I've got the fire steel on there. I have lit fires with this before, so you know, I know that it works, but as a backup, it was gonna be, you know, if we got stuck out in the woods, I would put this on and then use it if I needed to. So that is it. That's all the stuff. Whoops. So again, not perfect. It needs a lot of work. There's some other things I could have taken that I didn't. There's some things that I probably should have left out that I took, but it worked. And with we had my son had another tarp. We had another ridge line rigged up, so we would have been able, oh, and we had emergency blankets. Everybody had emergency blankets. I took mine out, and I think I sent it with my daughter. She's going back to Colorado with a friend, so I sent it with her so she'd have plenty of stuff just in case. They're not going to be doing anything crazy, so and her pack's smaller, so I just wanted to make sure she had enough stuff that just in case, you know, something happened, that they'd be all right. So I sent that with her, but everybody had emergency blankets, so if in a pinch, if we got stuck somewhere, which wasn't very likely, but if we did, everybody, we would have 2 tarps, we would have 4 emergency blankets, we would have 4 ponchos, we would have 4 trash bags. That's what I was trying to think of. So we could have rigged up a decent shelter, and then we had plenty of ways to light a fire, so I think we would have been good there. We would have been able to get a fire lit and stayed relatively warm, and I think we would have been all right. Again, we weren't going anywhere super crazy. I forgot this pouch in here. Foundations of Freedom. pocket constitution. Forgot about this. And then my passport. And that's it in there. I forgot about that. So those go everywhere with me as well, in their own special pouch that I always forget about. So anyway, we would have been all right. And the whole point of the thing was to be okay. You know, if I'm by myself, I'm not as worried about it. But when my family's with me, you know, definitely I start thinking, you know, if the worst thing happens, are we going to be able to make it 24 hours, you know, or something like that. We weren't hiking anywhere crazy, so I knew we weren't going to be stuck out in the woods or in the mountains for, you know, a week. We were within a few miles of civilization at any given time. So yeah, I wasn't too worried about it. But I think that's it for the video. There's not much else to say, so hopefully that's handy. And once again, I will say, for probably the third or fourth time, not a perfect system, but I think I had most things covered relatively well for you know, 8 to 10 hours away from the car. Alright, thanks for watching.